My name is Julia. Welcome back to the channel. So we had a school board meeting on the 11th a couple days ago, and it certainly wasn't as exciting as the last school board meeting, but an interesting theme emerged. So I thought we'd take this opportunity to do commentary, and we'll talk about it. The theme was AI. So we have Gordon Longhofer talking about Project Tango, and we'll talk more about what that is if you don't know what it is. And then a concerned citizen came out and asked questions about generative AI in the classrooms. And Moms for Liberty has some good resources about AI that I'll talk about a little bit during this episode. And then I'll give you an update about stuff that I'm doing at the very end. All right, let's get into it. Here's Gordon.
Good evening, Chair Brill, Vice Chair Lane, members of the board, Superintendent Burke, and guests. My name is Gordon Longhofer, President of the Palm Beach County Classroom Teachers Association. I've been hearing a lot from teachers lately about Project Tango. As most of you are probably aware, it is the hyperscale AI data center that is proposed for the land adjacent to Saddleview Elementary near Arden. And for purposes of understanding a little more about this, the bulk of that facility would be about 2,000 feet away from the west end of the building on that property for Saddleview. I do want to start with this. I'm not opposed to AI. I've actually talked with Superintendent Burke about AI in education and some other district leaders about this particular thing, and we understand it's here and it's a tool to be used, but there have to be guardrails up about that. So again, I'm not opposed, but what I am concerned about, in spite of the fact that it's here and it's here to stay, I'm concerned about structures and facilities that are going to have potentially a negative impact on student learning. For that reason, we have to be concerned about guardrails for our communities as well, especially where the health and development of our students is concerned. Air quality and noise, especially the constantly emitting low-frequency vibrations that are associated with these facilities, they can be very I should say the effects of this can be very unnerving. Students have shown negative impacts on sleep, on mental health. Here's the kicker: cognitive development. If there is something out there that's going to make it harder for our kids' brains to grow and for them to learn, we've got to be concerned about that. And given that high student achievement is literally our #1 priority, and given the concerns over such a facility and its proximity to a school site center, I think we have to take a very careful process and step moving forward on that. For that reason, I will simply say this: we don't know enough about these impacts, these potential negative impacts, to really step into this and leave carte blanche out there and say nothing and allow this to go forward. I believe we need a moratorium on projects of this type until we better understand more of these negative impacts. We all need to know more, and I'm asking you all to join me in that position of wanting to wait on this until we get more information and can literally learn about it. Student achievement being our #1 goal, that's got to be our guiding light about any other decisions that we make regarding anything that's going to impact the community and the families that we serve with our public schools.
So Gordon explains the situation with Project Tango pretty well. I actually went to a Project Tango rally maybe a month or so ago, and there were people from both sides of the aisle there expressing concern about this. And I'll just show you quickly. This is stopprojecttango.org. You can find out more about the issue, talking points, and things you can do as a citizen to convince the local government not to do this if you're interested. And now here is Jill Coleman. She's going to talk about generative AI and some questions, concerns, thoughts that she has.
Good evening. My name is Jill Coleman. I recently submitted written questions to the district regarding generative AI tools that are currently available to students for use on school-issued devices and accounts. I appreciate I got a response from IT describing the district's review committees and monitoring systems. Those internal processes are important. However, the governance questions I raised are different from internal review procedures. In every other area where schools introduce risk, transportation, athletics, facilities, building safety, the district confirms 3 things before deployment. First, that insurance coverage exists if something goes wrong. Second, that liability is clearly allocated among the parties involved. And third, that incidents can be reconstructed and investigated if harm occurs. Those safeguards exist so that when something affects a child, there is always a responsible adult institution standing behind the system. My request tonight is simply to ask whether those same safeguards have been formally confirmed for student-facing generative AI systems. Specifically, has the district's insurers confirmed coverage for harms arising from AI-generated outputs directed at students? 2, I ask this because vendors of generative AI systems, including approved tools such as Conmingo, generally state in their terms that the systems are provided as is, and that when they do not guarantee the accuracy or the safety of AI-generated responses. And when the vendors state in their terms that they are not responsible for their outputs, who ultimately accepts responsibility for those outputs when they are delivered to students through school-issued devices and accounts? And 3, are the student prompts and system outputs logged and reconstructible for incident investigation? These are not technical questions for the IT department. These are governance questions about institutional responsibility. Unlike narrow AI, conversational generative AI systems interact directly with students. They answer questions, they provide explanations, and sometimes they advise. That makes them materially different from traditional ed tech software. If a system can influence a child, it is reasonable for parents and the public to know which adult institution stands behind it. My request is simply that the board confirm whether those governance safeguards, insurance review, liability allocation, and incident log and reconstructability have been formally evaluated for all student AI systems, whether they were approved or they're otherwise accessible to students on campus or at home on their school-issued devices and accounts. And I want to thank you for all of your work and dedication to our kids, and I hope you have a wonderful spring break. Thank you.
I think this was a really good public comment. I think that she does a good job of stating very specifically and clearly exactly what she wants the board to do. This woman is clearly experienced. I Googled Jill and I found her that she is involved with the Palm Beach County chapter of MAMA, and that stands for Mothers Against Media Addiction. And I'll show you some of their website stuff here. They have educational resources. They have an Instagram. I will say that, Jill, if this makes its way to you somehow, it would be really nice if you could post what IT sent you about AI when you were asking these questions so that the public can see. And if the school board or anyone from the school district does what they're asking you, what you're asking them to do in regards to liability and such and formal procedure with the generative AI, we'd love to see that as well. I think that as far as developing your personal opinions about AI, that the starting off point for you should be educating yourself and reading things that you can. And Moms for Liberty has some educational resources about AI that you can look at. They have an ed tech toolkit. They have model procedures all on National's website. So I'll show you a little bit of that. That's all very useful to you. If you think that you know enough about these things, you probably don't. There's no such thing as being too informed on the issues. That's what I like to say. So thank you for watching. If you have opinions about AI or opinions about the school board meeting you want to share with me in the comments, I'd be happy to hear it. And that's the end of this part of the video, and I'm going to do a short update on stuff that I'm working on at the moment. All right. So in other news, the collection audit that I've been working on about gender identity in the elementary school libraries is out, and it's available on our website. So you want to go to our website. It's really easy to find if you just search Moms for Liberty, Palm Beach County. You can go to our chapter portal, scroll down. It's under useful links, and we made it yellow so it'd be easy to find. And here it is. You'll see that there's lots of books promoting the affirming perspective of gender identity in the elementary school libraries. We have a description of the book and quotes for a lot of the books, not all of them, and then a list of all of the schools that have this book. A little B next to it means it's a physical book, and an E means it's an ebook. I'm still working on this. There's some chapter books that are really long, so the quotes aren't out yet. I will make a whole video deep diving into how I made this, my perspectives on collection development in regards to school librarianship, all that good stuff. I'll look forward to that in the future.